Welcome back. You're watching Sports Federation TV. I'm Linyukta Chetty. And right now from the UWC basketball team, we have the captain joining us, Josh O'Connor. Now, basketball started in 1891 and it was invented actually by a physics professor in Kansas. Now, this ain't Kansas, but the sport is so popular in Africa, and I'm very pleased to introduce you to Josh O'Connor. Welcome, Josh.
Good evening.
So, Josh, this sport gets so much of publicity in movies, in adverts, in music videos, branding campaigns. Do you think this plays a huge role in people wanting to be active participants?
Referring to that, I think especially the way it is promoted, it's a huge attraction for a person that's just interested in sport, and as such, if we're watching people wanting to come to the sport, they watch it, they see the entertainment factor, 3-pointers and such, and they say, wow, I want to play that. So that's why especially in SA, we have so many people that are not affiliated to club, that should be with clubs and leagues, but just play it recreationally.
It has so much street cred, hey?
Yes,
basketball.
most definitely.
Yeah, one of those sports, street cred.
Yeah, you need to have swag on the court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your dressing and your hairstyle and all of that.
Yes.
So you're the poster child.
Okay, I hope so.
Basketball. So how competitive is UWC's team in comparison to the other universities?
That's a very interesting question. I think if I reflect on last year being 2016 and our development progression from there onward to this year, we have a complete new overall in terms of management, in terms of our basketball club. So if I look at last year where we were struggling to field 7-8 players, this year we have a completed roster rather of 25 to 30 players, which is exceptional, and under new management and coaching it takes us so much further, whereas we have never been a university that competes up there with the likes of UCT and CPUT. However, this year we've made it to the UWC has made it to the USF finals, which we will be playing very soon.
Against which university?
So the final is taking place between UWC and UCT at UCT.
So UWs versus UCT, that's going to be
Yes.
one for the books, hey?
Most definitely.
What type of tournaments are coming up then in the near future?
So if I look at UWC specifically, we as a men's league and a super league team with junior and senior players alike, we competing in the CTBA league, which is the Cape Town league, and that runs for about 8 to 9 months from now April until late September, August. So it's quite an extensive season. Then, as well as the university will be hosting various 3-on-3 tournaments wherein it brings communities in development, and it's a free for all basically for everybody to come for a nice chilled vibe and just to bring awareness of the sport as a whole.
Okay, and you know, you spoke about like juniors and seniors and stuff like that. Is there a lot of women that are playing the sport in the Western Cape at the moment, or even at the university?
The university's female team is doing rather well this year if I compare it to other years as well, because this year they unfortunately lost in the final. That was last week, and they are playing in the 3rd, 4th playoff within this week as well.
You know, it's good that you draw that comparison between last year, where your situation was so different from this year, and it's testimony to how much administration or good administration can affect the performance of athletes, hey?
Yes, most definitely. I think management in terms of any sport is quintessential, because if management structures are poor, all the levels thereafter are going to be crippled by that effect. So we work in a top-down management. Top-down has all the information, relays that to all the parties involved, and communication is key across all the levels.
Now, is the sport expensive to participate in?
I think it's a very basic sport. many people you will still play in any kind of sneakers or trainers, and obviously those who want to look a bit more flashy will wear their Jordans and whatever else. Sneakers in terms of that can be very expensive, pricey, probably anything from over 1,500 Rand upwards. So, and kits, you're looking at NBA kits, which tend to be very expensive, which from big sponsors. So there isn't much other apparel that goes with it besides gum guards or arm coolers or chest protection, but it's a relatively inexpensive sport.
So your court, your basketball, a hoop, and you're good to go.
You sorted.
Yeah, lovely. Just on that point, the sports like netball and volleyball, they also make use of halls or courts for their sport. Is basketball sharing these spaces with those sports?
I think at UWC we are fortunate and also at a disadvantage in saying that we do share courts with other sports like the likes of volleyball and whatever else, in netball for that liking, but we have separate courts. But there comes days where practice or at that time of the season where it just gets flooded with so many people and people are doing well in the league. So in saying that we share courts, but yet it also brings a sense of family, of unity as a group of athletes, and one can take a lot of motivation from that.
Yeah, lovely. So, space is obviously an issue, and facilities and things like that, if you are forced to share with the other sports. How does the future look in terms of that? I mean, you've got, 25 to 30 registered players, as opposed to maybe soccer that has many more. How do you appeal to the powers that be for more space?
In terms of that, that's a very tough ask, because here we have sports as basketball, which is not very big within the university, but not very big in SA, because we look at our SA team where they are ranked in terms of top states as those of America and Europe and Spain and those countries. They're in a league of their own. So in terms of that, basketball in SA is still a developing sport, and likewise in the club levels, in the university levels. So it's growing in strides, but it's still very small. So I think it's still in its infancy stage, even though it's been...
So it's a relatively new competitive official sport in the country. Is that what you're saying?
It's been official for, I think, just over 50 years in SA already.
50?
But the development in terms of the sport, in terms of how it's sponsored by government and other companies, has deteriorated over the years. Because when it started, it was very well sponsored, but as the years gone by, that has sort of fallen by the wayside.
Is coaches, the availability of coaches, is that also a hurdle players are or developing players are facing?
I think there's definitely a hurdle, because we see, if we say take the Cape Town League in, for example, the one that I'm involved in, I referee in that league as well. We will see coaches alike, referees that are coaching the same team. So they're refereeing the same teams that they may coach, that they may have gone to when they were in high school. So
and it's strategies and it's all of that. Hey.
So we will see an overlap of coaches all over that are referees as well, but there are also players in the league. So that does seem to overlap, and I think that does hinder the development of the sport.
Yeah. So viewers at home, if you're a basketball player, an experienced basketball player with the skill, either administratively as a coach or as a ref, you should get in touch with the federation. There might be a space for you to occupy and make some sort of difference that would affect up and coming players. And with Western Cape players, right?
Yes.
And you've got the Western Cape squad and you've got the SA squad, and they must be seeing some amazing things and places in the world. How many of the players in the South African squad are from Western Cape?
I think Western Cape as a whole, in comparison to our other provinces, is probably up there. So Western Cape consistently produces very good players, and as well as the officiating is of quality standards, because when we go to other tournaments, they request for our ref they know that our standard of basketball within the province is of a very good standard. So I do think Western Cape shoots out lots of SA players, or lots of the cream of the crop of our players, and then second to that KZN and Gauteng.
Wow, okay. So let's talk community involvement. Is the Basketball Federation or the leagues on their own involved in community development projects?
I think there is organizations and there are events that are taking place within the community, but I still think it's on a small scale. It is able to grow and develop, but not enough is being done within the community, because if we look at basketball is a game that can bring someone who can't play the game at all to yet can give one so much enjoyment. So I think in the terms of that it is growing, and very little is done within the community, but so much more can be achieved because it's such a great sport.
Yeah, it's a pity. Last week we had one of the executives from SAFA here, and he said something quite profound. He said, it's not just about keeping kids off the street, because drug dealers can keep kids off the street, and this is a sport with a lot of street cred. So I hope your development efforts from the leagues and the universities even improve to get more people involved.
Thank you.
Where can people find out about the sport and how to join?
So in terms of are we talking about age group basketball, so we're talking about from under 7 upwards to under 19.
Sorry, so before you proceed, so the schools, there is participation at schools at the moment?
Yes, most definitely. So the highest league standard within the Western Cape is called Top Schools Tournament, and various schools play in the various schools from the Western Cape are involved in that league. So it's not necessarily the best schools, but it's the main tournament which most high schools are involved in. And then thereafter we have the CTBA League, which is the Cape Town's league of all the clubs within the Western Cape.
And then the universities and the Technicons also have their own league.
Their own league, but it's also integrated with that league as well.
Lovely. And then the provincial side is chosen from the cream of the crop in Western Cape.
Yes, exactly. All the provincial players and all the national players are chosen from clubs within the Western Cape and obviously the various other provinces.
What's the highest level in the world that a basketball player can compete in?
So the professional basketballers generally play in clubs for the season long, and then when it comes to major events like that of the Olympics or national tournaments or international tournaments, they play in the 2 main leagues, which is either FIBA or within the NBA in the USA.
Okay, lovely. Thank you for joining us, Josh O'Connor. May your street cred go up even more after the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
And good luck against all your opponents that are coming up.
Oh, thank you very much.
All right. Well, that's it from Basketball Western Province. And after the break, I'm super excited because Clover Just is joining us. So text all your friends quickly and tell them their favorite card game. We've got an administrator here who's going to give you more insight into how their sport functions officially. Don't go anywhere.